Hello, everyone. Sierra Games Scott here, and you might be wondering why on earth are we getting an update? It's been about 5 years since this guy's posted anything of any substance, and probably more like 7 years since he's posted anything particularly interesting. So a few videos within the last 5 years, but most of the big series that I produce for these LPs. It's looking more like 7 years, so we're almost pushing a decade here. Anyway, valid questions. You might think, is this guy some sort of narcissist who likes to hear himself speak? And the short answer is, well, yes. Yes, to a degree, I hope. At least I've always found this therapeutic and always enjoyed checking in, and just felt this channel was something that was meaningful to me in the past, and even continues to be, as I have, despite the fact that I have not been too involved with it. However, the longer and perhaps the more appropriate response is that two groups of people. One, people who still check in and still are interested in the videos, even though they were fans back several years ago when I was more involved with this channel. And they just ask every once in a while, can you give us an update, how things are going, anything else along those lines. And so I do see that periodically, so I figured I'd have a little bit of time. I can comply with that kind request that some of you have. And for others, there are just newer people who have watched the videos, leave comments, interact with me, which is also very cool, definitely appreciated, and I'm glad people are enjoying the videos. So I thought maybe they might just want to hear from the creator of the videos, and there might be of some interest. For other people, you might think, oh boy, this guy is pretty bizarre, to say the least, to just check in like this, and I have really no interest in what he has to say. And certainly I think I plan for this video maybe to go 15-20 minutes. Certainly don't want to hang around to hear the thoughts of a defunct YouTube video creator, and that is also cool. Certainly understand that. Let me just give you two quick updates, or two quick points that might be of the most interest, and then I will let those who have absolutely no interest in hearing from me further go. Obviously, of course, you can leave on your own time, but here are the two items I think that might be of some interest. One, by producing this video, I am not announcing a comeback, another return out of retirement. I did that one time. I do not plan to do it again, just because my life has just become, I wouldn't say more hectic. It's just I'm older, I have more responsibilities, and even more so than when I stopped creating the channel. So I do not have the time, and I'll get into this a little bit more, but a lot of the Sierra games and such have already been played quite a bit on YouTube and elsewhere. So not planning on a comeback, not planning on any additional videos. So apologize if that's a disappointment to anyone. To anyone else who says it wasn't that great to begin with, well, fair enough. But in any event, I will not be coming back. I have no plans to come back and make LPs. The second point is people fairly frequently, I don't want to say beg, but a request that I do not remove any of the LPs. They enjoy it, enjoy going through them again. I don't know if I've ever personally gone through an LP I've watched a second time, at least a whole series, but in any event, some people seem to like that or want to get caught up. I have no plans of ever removing any of the videos. The only video I ever removed was one that had a video of myself talking, and you actually could see my face. I just didn't really want to have that out there, so I removed that, but pretty much everything else I've kept up, even the partial LPs. So I plan to keep that up as long as YouTube's platform stays the same. If they go to a pay system, if they change the rules or something, I can't promise they'll keep up with every update and keep it current, but as long as YouTube's platform stays the way it is, and they don't start purging videos, I have no plans. I'll pledge to you that I will keep this content up and allow people to enjoy it for whatever it is worth going forward. So anyway, that may be more than you even wanted to hear, even if you have really no interest in my comments. But for anyone who stayed that long, thank you. Appreciate you checking in again. Wish you all the best, and I will let you go. For those who have any interest, though, in an update, either because you were a former fan or a historical fan of the channel, or because you're a newer person, just might have a little interest in these LPs and even myself as the creator. Let me just give you a little bit of an outline of what I plan to discuss on this video update. like I said, it's somewhat cathartic to me to get to post a video like this on YouTube, so I'm not expecting people to take it too seriously, and obviously my feelings are not hurt if there are not too many people who listen to this update. But enough, I'm going to play everything straight as the video proceeds and not keep making self-deprecating comments, so you can just take it for what it is going forward, because I know they can get a little annoying over time. So anyway, the outline for what I think I'll discuss is just give you some updates about myself, since that comes up periodically, how things are going in my own life, and then give you a little bit more information about the channel, just a little bit of insight about that, if that's of any interest to people. And then finally, just give you some final thoughts I have about LPs and things of that nature, and maybe point you to some resources for those of you who really do enjoy these LPs and might want to find other people who have a similar or even better approach, because I know adventure games can be pretty cool, and I always found that not only just enjoyable to create the LPs, but also to listen to some of the older LPs from last decade. As for myself, where I am in life. So I have mentioned in some of the previous videos, I don't want to rehash too much from some of my final farewells and farewell videos that I have posted in the past. For those of you who are not aware, I did a bunch of LPs early on, probably around 2009 into 2010. Had some technical issues, but I got through a bunch of them. Enjoyed it. It was just kind of a challenging part of my life, and so I retired thereafter once I got a job. The big challenge was actually I was unemployed during the period when I was creating a lot of those videos. I got another job later on, had a little bit more leeway for me to create the videos. Did Ben Jordan, started getting the Quest for Glory 4, I think, and I just once again got into a situation where life was just a little bit hectic and couldn't keep up with it. Just decided I'll call it quits. A lot of the LPs had been done previously, so that's where I kind of left off. I don't want to rehash too much of that, but pretty much my life story in a nutshell is got out of graduate school, a lot of debt, couldn't get a job, and just being able to come back to some of these old Sierra games. I listened to some of these LPs on YouTube and got motivated and encouraged to create some, starting with Quest for Glory. Really enjoyed the next one I created, Gold Rush, which tends to be the favorite LP that's out there for most people. Not too many LPs of that exist. And then I created a bunch more, and essentially, as I mentioned, things got better for me. Got a job, and as I discussed, took a brief hiatus, came back, and then didn't have time for LPing thereafter. So the story after that, for anyone who is interested, is I really got into a fairly, I don't want to say a good company, but it was a good position that I got into at a smaller company. They're actually having financial difficulty right now, but I was there for a few years, and fortunately it helped me get my career kind of back on track, which is pretty cool, and I am appreciative of that. I was able to move up in the company, got some salary increases, and so it really put me in a better financial state, could move out of my parents' house, and just was fortunate to met a nice young lady who is actually now my wife. I've been my wife for a couple of years, and we've had a child together. So a lot has changed. Was able to pay off a lot of the debt, really just in a much better position. So appreciate all the kind comments. I personally am religious and give glory to God for that, but just appreciate the nice comments I've received over the years from various people as I've struggled with this and brought some updates, but I'm very happy to report that my life is going much better than it was when I was creating these LPs, even though I don't have the opportunity to create these LPs anymore. And so obviously with a wife and a child, and I'm now actually at another job, but just everything that entails being, I guess, a family man now and such. Definitely don't have time for the LPing world. I haven't even watched a lot of LPs for a long time. I think I'll talk about this a little bit later, but Late Blade and Her Crabbiness did a lot. They kind of faded out of the LP scene as well. And there were a few other things I think I mentioned. I think that guy with the glasses had some LPers on it as well. I watched some of those, but I haven't watched too much myself in the ensuing years. But that's pretty much the update. I don't want to go into tremendous detail, probably not all that interesting to you, but I know some of you who have chronicled my mini life story might find some of that interesting, or at least appreciate the update. So very happy to where I am, happy to have a family, happy to be in a much better financial and career situation. About the channel, I guess I would say that I don't have a ton of information about that in terms of update, because I haven't done much with the channel. Like I said, no plans to come back, no time to come back, really. In terms of even the opportunity, even if I wanted to, I'm not sure there's too much more I could do. When I started, the Sierra game LPs a lot of them had been covered, but there were some opportunities like Quest for Glory 3 at the time. Nobody really had touched that. Nobody really touched Gold Rush, Quest for Camelot, even Police Quest was limited. When I did do some of the LPs like King's Quest 3 that people had already done, it didn't get as many views, as many hits, because it was well down in the search rankings. And so, they've all really been done. I mean, there might be a case for, you had that first wave of people, which I was kind of at the end of, and not as prominent. And now there might be a call for another wave for some of these videos to be done more recently, more currently. But I think you can find a pretty good LP for just about every single Sierra adventure game out there. Between Late Blade and Her Crabbiness, I think the two of them covered, I wouldn't say all, but a lot of the games, and did a really good job with what they have done. So not a lot of room, I think, to add to that. I think the only way would be if somebody was really a professional LPer who's doing a lot of other games, really has a professional channel and style and camera movements or screen captures, or however you want to describe it, and then brought their own unique, already well-established style into the Sierra world. That might be kind of cool. And some people have done that to some degree, but for the most part, I don't think there's a lot of room there. I do want to welcome people who have joined the channel or have watched videos from the channel since I have gone off air, if you will. I really appreciate people checking in, leaving comments. I think almost always positive or kind comments, so I really appreciate the community's fairly generous that way, and I definitely appreciate hearing from you. I don't check my account that often, so if I don't get back to you right away, please don't be offended by that, but feel free to ask questions or leave any comments. If you just comment, I may not respond, but please know I do read everything as best I can, as much as YouTube updates me here or there. And so definitely glad to hear from people, and glad people enjoy their videos. I think one guy even said I helped solve his problem or an issue he had for Quest for Glory 4. He couldn't get by a certain portion of the game. So that's pretty cool to hear that. So appreciate that. In terms of I don't really get any negative comments. I think I've commented in the past that I don't see why people necessarily have to do that. We're just trying to have a good time. But for the most part, I think since I've gone off, I haven't seen anything too critical. I do fully admit that it was never my design to have the most professional channel. I use Cam Studios, kind of a cheap way of being able to record things, and sound wasn't always great. So I'm well aware of that, particularly with the Quest for Glory 3 videos. The early ones, I definitely, as you know, and probably this video proves, I like to ramble a little bit, and probably got a little bit too engrossed in that and less on the gameplay, particularly in those early videos. Nothing I can do, once again, about those videos or anything that might not seem quite as professional or polished, but like I said, I'm going to leave everything up. So appreciate your leeway on that, but unfortunately, some of them weren't always the best. But I do appreciate everybody who views and has checked in. And I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about the channel and getting in touch with me. Like I said, happy to hear from people. Glad people are enjoying the videos, and I will plan to leave those up. I guess to get a little bit into anything else in terms of Let's Plays in general and any recommendations I have. Like I said, everything has been done very pretty thoroughly out there. If there was a Sierra game you liked, you probably will find somebody who's done a pretty good LP. Probably there are multiple ones out there. I have referred to Late Blade and her crabbiness. I may be taking for granted that everyone knows about those videos. Probably if you've been searching for Sierra games, you've run into one or both of them. Late Blade is spelled Late, I believe BLT, like a BLT sandwich. I'm not 100% sure about that, but you should be able, Sierra game and something along that line, should search for that, which should probably bring him up. And then her crabbiness is just as it sounds. I think they were dating for a while. They got to know each other, and it's been years, I think, since they've been together. But they don't really create a lot of videos. Late Blade's had a few things in recent times. I don't think her crabbiness has had too much, though there are two. I guess both of them serve as decent jumping off points for some recommendations I have. One, just their channels. Both are really cool. They did some joint LPs together. But in terms of more modern videos, Late Blade's, he always has just kind of an interest in older DOS games and such, and so you might find some of those as recent videos on his channel. But two things I would recommend: he did one LP, I think, a game called Corky's Quest, and another one I can't remember, but it's his most recent Sierra-esque game LP. If you look on his channel, it's about people who go to some outpost in the North Pole or the Arctic region or something of that nature. And both of these are fan-made games. So they were amateurs used the engine that Sierra used to make some of those old EGA games and built their two games. And it was just kind of neat to be able to see. One, he's a really good LPer, and two, it's just kind of neat seeing some of these games that really aren't official Sierra games that you probably never played before. Never checked out before. One's kind of a whodunit murder mystery, and the other one is kind of almost a horror game. Not really particularly scary, kind of more just suspenseful than anything else. But I enjoyed seeing through those, and there's just something a little bit different, but still in the Sierra realm. So I would highly recommend watching those video series if you're looking for something slightly different. For her crabbiness, she went through, I think, the last big LP she had done, though she did touch on some of the King's Quest, I think, at the end. Nonetheless, was Ben Jordan, the Ben Jordan series, games 3 through 8. And that was not a Sierra series. It was a point-and-click adventure series, and it was, I wouldn't say it was a fan-made game, but it was an amateur, non-professional game creator, essentially. I think he did pretty much everything on his own. Got some voiceover work and some help with graphics and a few things like that, but mostly on his own. Created a series called Ben Jordan, which is a paranormal investigator. And the first two games, they've been redone, but they don't really tie into the story as much. She starts in game 3, and you'll see it looks a little amateurish and not as polished, and that's kind of true for 4, but they're both 3 and 4 are fun games. Once you get in game 5 and beyond, they do look more like a polished, almost Sierra or LucasArts-esque game. Really cool. And what I recommend doing, if you are interested, particularly in adventure games, is to go and download those Ben Jordan games, at least starting in game 3. Play through them, and then if I'm somebody who can play through a game and listen to the LP and still find it cool, if that's you, I would recommend doing both. If not, maybe you just want to listen to her LPs. But it's a really well-done series. It's suspenseful. Really helps build the characters up. You really can get invested in the characters. Really neat. All of them are unique, and just I really enjoyed it. I actually got involved. I learned about from her crabbiness. I think I played Game 7 after it came out. It must have. But then Game 8 actually didn't come out until well after I'd watched the other LPs, and it just so happened that that was when the final Game 8, which is the final game, came out, all free, and all pretty neat. So if you have a hankering for the old days of Sierra games, definitely I would check that out, that series out, check out the LPs. I think you'll really enjoy it. I could talk probably forever about that, but I'm over 20 minutes right now. Not that that's a huge deal, I don't think, but don't want to keep everyone too long, keep this video going on too long. Maybe it'd be wise to create a separate video talking about Ben Jordan if that's what I feel inclined to talk about. But nonetheless, I do recommend the Ben Jordan series. The Gold Rush does have a remake. I don't know if anybody's LP'd it. From my understanding, is it's pretty much just as the graphics are updated, but it's the same games. But if you really like Gold Rush and want a twist in it, you might want to try the newer graphical adventure. For me, I think the nostalgia of the EGA is what I would lean towards, but might be something worth checking out. And there's been a couple of other remakes. I think King's Quest had a new game in the series with new graphics. Didn't look all that great to me, to be honest, but I haven't investigated that deeply. And there's a lot out there. If you look at remakes and reboots and things for some of these games, I think Space Quest 2 and 3, maybe at least Space Quest 2, and some of the King's Quest games have remakes out there, which are pretty cool. Quest for Glory 2 does as well. Something worth checking out. And there are other LPers. I can just think off the top of my head. Pushing Up Roses. I think she used to be with that guy with the glasses. If she isn't anymore, did the Colonel's Bequest. I think her Crabbiness's attempt was better, but I have seen that out there, so that might be something else to check out. But I could go on with lots of recommendations, but hopefully that's a few things to, a few resources I can point you in, if that was at all helpful. But I think I'm going to just turn to wrapping up this video. Definitely enjoyed being able to get to speak to everyone remotely through the YouTube channel. And hopefully any of these updates are mildly interesting or mildly helpful. And I definitely am open to hearing from feedback from people. I do wish in some ways I could get back into the LP world, but just don't have that time and probably not a lot of opportunity, as I mentioned. And I, in fact, even just posting this quick webcam video, which I've turned off the webcam itself, obviously, so it's black. But even that I've been able to do because my family is out of town for a few days. So really the only time I've been able to get that sort of opportunity. But I'm going to cut myself off so I do not ramble on too long. But I thank everyone. Maybe I'd come back with some update videos of some nature, some sort, or try to figure something else out that might be kind of cool. But of course, can't promise that, and not sure if that would be a ton of interest to people. But I do thank everyone once again. I do hope you have things are going well, and I hope you find some other cool LP resources beyond that. And I appreciate everybody's time. Once again, this is CR Game Scott, and I'm signing off. Take care.